Oh, are we recording? Pop music and dance diva Taylor Dayne dominated the charts in the 80s and 90s. The songstress went on to star in Elton John's and Tim Rice's AIDA. And people, if you've been at any gay prides in the past 20 years, you've seen her. The girl can sing. I caught up with Taylor to chat about everything from working with Elton John, touring with Michael Jackson, to how her LGBTQ family helped her achieve her biggest accomplishment ever, motherhood. 18 top 10 hits, multiple Grammy nominations, a stint on Broadway. What can Taylor Dayne not do? And she's here to chat with us all about a memoir. Welcome, Taylor Dayne. So tell me a little bit about the memoir.
Well, a little bit about it is this is a monumental year for me. My achievement of reaching 30 years as a woman in this business, God knows, and living in Hollywood, for God's sakes. It's the New York girl did good.
Right.
And it was the right time to tell it.
Right.
Yeah.
So Tell It's My Heart, Can't Fight Fate, Soul Dancing.
Yeah.
Talk to Eros Ax.
Well, I signed with a record, right? I was driving along the West Side Highway. I was just graduated high school a couple years. I was working in the Russian nightclubs and making 12-inch records. The Eros years were, they signed me for a single, which was, we recorded and produced Tell It To My Heart.
Small hit.
Just a small hit. They didn't put my picture on the first 12-inch. They didn't do any of that.
And why do you, I've always wanted to ask you, because your voice is so unique. And I've heard like Rick Wake in interviews say that she's a little girl from like Long Island, a white girl, but she has this voice that is, it can do R&B, it can do Broadway, it can do pop, it can do sort of anything. So do you think that's part of the reason why they...
Why Clive? Why they chose
why they didn't put like a photo on the first printing, or
it
is
could
it timing?
Be. I think it could have been a marketing thing, or how about they had no idea what they had?
Right.
They had one single, and they were throwing it out there to see what it is. I didn't get released in the United States until I think 6 months after it was put out in Europe, and the rest was kind of history.
And what they had.
And then they had no record.
Yeah.
No album.
And then you scrambled to get...
Well, I was a singer, right? So I had done some demos. I had done "Don't Rush Me" already, "Prove Your Love" in a demo. Like I worked with these writers prior.
Right.
So we were like, what about this? What about this?
Right.
With Clive, absolutely, with "I'll Always Love You."
Right. I mean,
amazing.
you didn't, the book, get the book, people. Because she covers all
Does it fill in a lot
this.
of places for you?
For me, yes. Much like Kelly Clarkson, Taylor Dayne had some issues with music Svengali Clive Davis when it came to recording her third album. Because you wanted to write your own music, you had the chef.
You want to be part of your process. You know, any artist, more than that, I started out being the process, right? I was the creator of the process. My partner was Rick. And by the third record, and the second record was such a collaborative experience now with the label, knowing what they had, feeling, and Clive really is a champion for me, and more like a father figure and a champion, but it was so personal. Every record you put out is a baby, it's a child. And you can imagine now I'm 8 top 10 singles deep, and I'm like, okay, I need more to say. There's things I feel. I saw the landscape of R&B coming a little bit, now we're in the early 90s, and I was seeing LaFace, I was watching No Babyface, I was listening to what was going on over there, and there was no Pink, there was Tony Braxton, there was TLC, and I was like, this is the direction, feels right, and it was just the wall of wanting to stretch as an artist, and he even said that, how do I support you, is trying to express and not let you bury yourself. And I'm like, I don't consider it a burying experience, but how do we do this without charging me $1 million and, constantly going in and reading, constantly spending my money ultimately, because that's what's screwed up in the music business. It's just like a bad loan ultimately.
Especially during those days.
Those days, of course. It's really obvious.
TLC, the Tony Braxtons, Taylor Dayne, as we see in the book. Or
the 3 T's.
We love it.
Girls, I love you. The 3 T's.
So then you left Arista.
I did. I did leave.
We had some Naked Without You time.
What did we have? Tell me.
Naked.
Oh, Naked Without You.
Yeah, we had your own album.
Yes, I did. Well, that was uncharted waters. It was very new. I signed with A&M immediately after leaving Arista Records, and not leaving wasn't that easy, obviously. There was a lot of things about that. But I signed with A&M, and that was very short-lived after selling so many albums and millions of records and fans. And for them to say, it was a very short relationship. And then I found myself, this independent label, people were starting to come out of the woodworks as Napster started becoming. We're talking about 98, right? 97, 98, 99. So now I'm this independent artist all of a sudden, and I'm like, I'm used to being in a label. You know, I understand a machine when a machine rolls. So this was really daunting on one level. And I took on the A&R component as well as the production component and the producer and label. And I did a deal with an independent label through Polygram Polydor, through a big distribution.
Taylor also had the opportunity to open for Michael Jackson on the Bad Tour. And you won't believe what she had to say about that experience. And then, so Tell It to My Heart broke. And then you find yourself on tour with a small musical act, a tiny name. Who was it?
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, on what tour?
So again, the way you're making it sound, it was the Bad Tour.
It was the Bad Tour. Hello. Taylor
That's when my first
opening for Michael Jackson, her first tour. You got to read the book because she gives a little tidbit. It's good. It's real good. So how was that touring with Michael?
Well, there was Sheryl Crow before she was ever Sheryl Crow. There was Greg Filliganes. Michael did 2 shows a week if we were lucky. So I was on this extravagant, like, caviar tour with 150 buses and, you know, basically in the south of France, in the south of Spain, in the south of every country conceivable in Europe, opening up for Michael Jackson because I had the hit song throughout of all of Europe at the time, which was Tell It to My Heart. But when he entered stage, he had this whole ritual before he hit, and he would have military guys backstage, whether police or military, and they were all in, you know how he had that military outfit and he was doing it, and they were chanting and they were doing a lot of the calls before they even hit stage. So backstage, everybody was getting amped for his entrance before he had, and it was just.
And so you're opening for him. What's that like? To be like.
Crap your pants. You just like,
Get the
I can't
book,
do it.
Read the book.
It feels like you're in the Coliseum being fed to the lions. I mean, there's a roar.
Taylor had her A Star Is Born moment with Prince, where he plucked her from the audience when she had her first pop hit, and she had to perform with him on stage. Hello? Where was Instagram during that time, people? And during that time, you also got called on stage by another man. It was a Star Is Born moment that Taylor Dayne has. So you have to see her in concert to hear the whole story, and a song goes along with it.
God, that's so true.
Yeah. So
He's talking
who is
about
that?
Prince.
Prince. So you're on tour with
I opened
Michael.
for Michael, and listen, this isn't the beginning of it all. It is very Star Is Born, because I guess we can all say that right now, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I wasn't a little crapper. I actually had a hit record.
Well, I mean, but you get called on stage to sing a song that there are no words to.
He saw me in the audience.
Right.
We were at the stadium, and I was in the front of him. He goes, he sent his brother out to get me with his other brother, and they said, please, we're going to do a show after hours, and we'd love you to join us. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll go. And I took my people with me, my girlfriends. And at the show is when we were walking to the restroom, and I bumped into him. I mean, you don't bump into Prince, but he was just there with Love Sexy all over him, and, you know, Paisley Park. And it was just, there's a lot to it, which was a lot of fun. But what a funny, delicious, incredible musical genius of a man.
A moment. Taylor also chatted with me about what it was like to be on Broadway. Hello. When Elton John calls, what do? You answer. She chatted about Audra McDonald, Heather Headley, so many Broadway people she worked with. Take a look. Yes. And you went on to do Cats. And Taylor, I'm going to actually ask you to, the key change, Touch Me. Is there any way to just get a little?
Touch me, it's so easy to leave me.
Goosebumps. Thank you, Taylor.
Oh my God, I remember that.
My life is complete. Shifting over to LGBT stuff, you said Broadway. So in the book, Taylor's like, I get a call from Elton John. He wants me to workshop this musical with...
It wasn't quite like
with
that.
6-time Tony winner Audra McDonald and Sherry Renee Scott.
That's right.
So, tell me more. I mean, like, I'm losing my mind over that.
Okay, but you know, I'm like this rock and roll pop star kind of thing on the side. And then Audra's like, Taylor. And then, of course, I did the musical.
Yeah.
It was AIDA. But this was in workshop form, guys. So when he's saying Elton, you were in, there's Katzenberg, there's Elton John, there's Tim Rice.
Yeah.
And they're just watching Audra, myself, and this one, an audience of 12 people from Disney, basically, watching us do workshops of this production and this writing and this incredible musical that they were doing. Elton got pissed one day, left. He didn't like that they cut a scene. The direction. Yeah. It was endless. And it was just such a fantastic experience. And I said, dear God, how much longer is this going to take? I did 3 workshops with them, and then I said, I don't know when this is going to Broadway, whatever it's going to do. And Sherry remained in the cast, and she took that to Broadway, and they all won Tonys for it, and Heather Headley, but not Audra. Went on to other serious acclaims, but I went back and actually did the musical, as you saw. People often ask me all the time, what's the difference? I go, well, I'm wearing a Kentucky Fried Chicken helmet on, and I'm in 17, costume changes, and the words I'm saying are actually foreign to me. I said, but like after show, you're like, what moves people?
Taylor Dayne found herself in her late 30s wanting to start a family, so she turned to her LGBTQ family to see how she could do it on her own.
What's to think about? Let me go for one. Let me go for a child. Let me have I wasn't married. I had no significant other. I mean, I'd had plenty or some or one or two, but it just wasn't translating.
Right.
But to have a child was something, I said, this isn't enough anymore. This is not enough. It says it's vacant, it's void.
Right.
It's not enough.
Right.
And that's with the child. So seeing some of these couples, so there's, my friends, my gay, my lesbian couples, my friends, who were really childless and really wanted to go. And we were not, and I was a single parent. I was not encouraged to become a parent. A couple agencies here turned me down. And then I found one agency that had a gay couple.
Really?
As a parent, yes. And then they took me on as a single parent.
Right.
And it was not here in Los Angeles area. And we have children.
And her daughter is a supermodel, people. She's a supermodel.
Well, so's my son. He's cool.
Yeah.
I had twins.
God
yeah.
laughs.
But you
make
know
plans.
that.
You make plans, God laughs.
Taylor rose to pop stardom in the 80s, the same time as Whitney Houston, who was her label mate at AIDA. Taylor shared some little tidbits about her experience with Whitney. Take a look.
I want to hear a story about Whitney Houston. Do you have any little tidbits, run-ins?
Just how gracious and how brilliant she truly was. And she would always say to me, you're the voice, child, and Dion says this, and she was always just like, you're just incredible.
See?
And she was so beautiful, and she sang from her heart. There's no place else. She sang so deeply from her heart.
And people, if you do not know this, Taylor Dayne has done every major gay pride throughout the world. People, she even recorded the 2010 anthem for the Gay Games, where she performed in Cologne, Germany. Taylor's global, people. We love Taylor. Tell it to my heart.